Alright, and welcome back to my Evil Within Akumu difficulty guided walkthrough. And we're in chapter 11, which is arguably the hardest chapter in the entire game. It's also a very long chapter. So for the sake of brevity, I will not include the swimming sections and the part where you rescue Kidman, because the swimming sections don't really differ on Akumu mode, and when saving Kidman, you are merely facing unarmed Haunted, which you have faced throughout the entire game. And speaking of the regular Haunted, from this chapter on, you are going to encounter variations that are wielding guns, even freaking machine guns. So those can be really tough to deal with. You can expect instant death as soon as you give them the slightest chance to fire, or giving them even the smallest possible target, as they tend to have near perfect aiming. But initially you only face unarmed enemies, so that won't be a big deal. However, as soon as you try the locked door, you will get ambushed by 3 more. And for those I prefer to use a flashbolt, which is upgraded to 13 seconds I believe at this point. So that gives you enough time to stealth kill all 3 of them. Now when you pick up the key in the area behind the fence where they came from, you will get ambushed again by a whole horde of enemies from the start of the area, and those can essentially be ignored if you act fast enough. But there will be 2 machine gun wielding enemies in your way. So I preemptively place a shock bolt for the first one, and then I snipe the second one from the doorway. Now they are wearing bulletproof vests, but 2 bullets should be enough if you hit their torsos. Of course, if your aiming isn't as bad as mine, then always go for a headshot, even if the enemy is wearing a mask. Now make sure to keep running after you unlock the door, because you will be chased by the remaining enemies, but they won't follow you across the plank to the fire escape. After the first swimming section, and remember that even shooting in the water can distract the monster if necessary, you will get to this section where you will encounter 2 Roofer clones and a whole bunch of regular enemies. However, only the Roofer clones need to be killed. When they die, everyone else dies as well. Although I do burn the ones near the magnum ammo, so I won't get attacked from behind. Now I do mess up a bit in this section, I'm afraid, because 1 magnum round should be enough to take out a Roofer clone, unless you hit his arm or leg, and that's exactly what happened, and I initially didn't even notice. But for the first one you can simply use a shock bolt, or even better a harpoon bolt, to nail him against the wall, although you will still need to burn him, as dead as he might look. And after that, if your aim is a little bit better than mine, then you can use the magnum to take out the second one in a single shot. However, first I miss, and then it is really hard to see, but apparently the second shot hit his arm, because he still wasn't dead, meaning that it almost got me killed. So unless you see the camera transition where the door opens up, you know that one of the clones has to be still alive.
Some kind of fake.
Okay, now things are going to get really tough. The next 3 sections can be an absolute nightmare. Especially because you know how inconsistent this game can be. But the most important thing is to make sure that you have enough shock bolts. You can find an extra one near the crates. First you will need to snipe the 2 enemies who are already present in this area. And after that you need to deal with several waves of enemies before you can progress. For the first wave I use a flashbolt, and unfortunately the game decided to not function properly again and one of the enemies wasn't stunned. But I had really favorable RNG and he didn't shoot me. By the way, make sure that everyone has passed the shutter, otherwise it will close when you get near it. And the other one with the sniper rifle will never shoot before he climbs up, so don't worry about getting shot by him while firing the flashbolt. Now we need to make a quite specific jump, because there is a second sniper already hidden in the back of the area and he will start firing during the second wave. However, if you jump exactly like I do, then you can stand on top of the fence, even though you can't actually jump over it. And if you aim a grenade in precisely the right way, the sniper will be knocked over so that you can hit him in the head with your sniper rifle. This way you don't have to worry about him while fighting off the second wave. For the second wave, use a shock bolt. Don't put it too close to the shutter, again it will close if you get near. So if an enemy is stunned and gets locked inside, you won't be able to burn him. Now place another shock bolt for the third wave. Basically it's just the same thing. Now for the fourth wave we need to place a shock bolt much further back. And the reason for that is that if you try to burn them at the same location as the previous enemies, the final enemy will show up and shoot you as soon as you will try to burn the other 2. So instead we're going to move all the way back, place a shock bolt on the ground and hide in the corner. And after the incoming enemies are dead, we are going to use this structure as a cover to do some tricky shots with the sniper rifle. You need to be quick here, wait until he's done firing and then move just barely enough to the right to get a shot in. Alright, the next section is pretty fucked up as well, but only if you make a mistake. And before you say, well duh, what I'm referring to here is the strange placing of a second checkpoint. If you manage to get past all the enemies that enter the area later on, there's quite an easy way to do it, but if you don't act fast enough, which I didn't, you will restart at the worst possible location. Not at the beginning here, but immediately face to face with a machine gun wielding enemy and other enemies coming in from the side and below. It's pretty messed up. So what you'll want to do is to first get rid of all of the traps and then place a shock bolt right before the, I don't even know what to call it, the sideways moving elevator or something. Well, at least on the roof of the middle structure. That should give you just enough time to make it past all the incoming enemies and getting onto the elevator for the next checkpoint. However, not only was I not fast enough, I misplaced the shock bolt. I placed it too far to the right, meaning that one machine gun wielding enemy wasn't electrocuted. So the result was having to do this section over again, but starting from that really annoying checkpoint that I just mentioned. So this part is really quite a mess. Well, if you think that that was fucked up, get ready for this. This is in my experience the hardest part of the game. And specifically because this isn't the pre-order edition. If you look at other people doing this section on Akumu mode, most of them use an incendiary bolt to get rid of pretty much all of the enemies on the top left floor. Basically, that's a kind of bolt that serves as a fire trap, shooting out a continuous stream of fire. But I don't have the pre-order edition, so there is literally no way to get those bolts. So me and my piss poor aiming skills are pretty fucked in this area. Because you are a sitting duck on this elevator thing, and the only enemies that die in one hit are the ones standing near the edge or holding Molotov cocktails. But the enemies near the end won't just die in one hit, and this includes enemies with machine guns. So I hate to say it, but you pretty much have to play this section over and over again until you eventually just manage to make it through. However, as you see, I don't even manage to kill all of the enemies, and in fact in one of my failed attempts I got shot right after I made it to the end. Let me emphasize that again. After I made it to the end. Not during, not right before it, after I already made it. Just remember what the description of Akumu mode was. This is pure hell. Well, here I guarantee you that you will experience that. It is actually unbelievable that this game is forgiving enough that during the transition itself you are invincible, because you could see that I got hit. But as I said, after that you can still take a hit, and that will kill you. So make sure you don't fuck up after you think you are safe. Alright, the factory area. Here you cannot use guns because of the gas, but you can use your crossbow. Those saw blades can in fact be destroyed with harpoon bolts, but they can be hard to hit. Moreover, they aren't exactly fair, because for some reason, even though there are mannequins on top of those saw blades, they can move right through those sections where you can crawl under, even though that should be, you know, physically impossible. It's kind of bullshit. The next part is all about stealth. Make sure that you don't aggro anyone. Technically you can kill them with an harpoon bolt, but even if you hit them, if it's not an immediate one-hit kill, the animation where they light their dynamite will start and it's an automatic game over. Again, this entire section is not exactly what you would call fair. So just make sure that nobody sees you. And if you stick against the wall, it's unlikely that you will get spotted. Now be ready to immediately fire a flashbolt as soon as you open the shutter, because there's an ambush of enemies right behind it.
Joseph.
As you may know, there is a statue hanging from the crane in the distance that you can shoot down with your sniper rifle. However, if you fire your rifle just outside of the doorway, that will still ignite the gas inside the factory for an automatic game over. I'm not fucking kidding. This game is just pure sadism. So near the end you will find the key on the ground, and that ends this extremely rough chapter. However, the next one is quite a hell as well. But fortunately that one is rather short. So please leave a like and stay tuned for the next episode.